We're finishing off At the Movies. Great series. Megan kicked us off, and we looked at the movie Wild Robot, and that was great because she helped us understand that there's kind of two operating systems within this world. One is the operating system of this world that's filled with brokenness and sin and death, and it gets a real mess. And the other one is the operating system that God has placed in each of us, that you actually got put inside you before you came into this world. It was really great. And then Pastor Len picked it up the following week with Wonka, and he kind of like was helping us understand it's God's grace, His unmerited grace that helps us to realize the dream that He has put into us. The one that's down there that He put in before you came into this world and got all messed up with the things of this world. Now, Pastor Lynn did a great job, although I must admit I was a little disappointed. I was a little disappointed because I sat down there, and I don't know if you saw me leaning on the chair. I thought at any moment he was going to give us some chocolate. And it didn't come. I was devastated, and I know you're all looking at these now very lovingly. And I only have two. So, so who would like a chocolate? There you go, Jackie. You have a chocolate. She deserved that one because one of the weeks she realised that was a year ago. She had a stroke and she's healed and recovered. So hopefully this helps. Doesn't go that direction. And for that little lady over there. All right. So alongside the movies, those two movies, they really did set the platform. But God's had me have us sing a song called Yes Again, which Darlene Check wrote, which I think is really part of an anthem of what He's doing within us. So today I'm going to look at another very interesting topic that prevents people from living their best life. Now, the issue tends to arise when you have a certain amount of success in an area. Certain amount of success, then this thing kind of comes in. And then after that, it gets really turbulent if you have to change, if there's a need of a transition. So why don't we have a look right up front at the first clip. It's a beautiful movie called Migration, and it's about a bunch of little ducks. So let's have a look at this first clip to get things going.
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful pond. It was paradise. Everyone was happy there. Well, not everyone. For two ducklings were suffering from a strange condition.
They were bored.
And they were eager to discover what lay beyond their cozy little pond. Come on, let's have a look. But Daddy says it's dangerous to leave the pond. We're brave and strong. We ain't scared of nothing. So they decided to go for it. Straight into the arms of predators. They were surrounded, trapped. But the ducklings were not afraid. The tiny heroes attacked the predator and they died. The end.
That's all? They're dead?
Oh yeah, no survivors.
But how?
Oh, you want details? Okay. So first the heron cut them in half.
Wait a second here. Your father got the story wrong. Again. What really happened was the heron saw that they were lost, so she offered to help them.
Pam, it's a heron! A cycle killer designed to eat ducklings!
All right, fine. The heron was about to eat them, but the parents arrived just in time and saved them.
No. The parents arrived, but it was too late. Oh, Dax, don't worry. It's going to be okay. Really, Dad? Yeah, sure. Squish ducks, they can achieve great things too, as long as they stay in the pond far from the dangers of the world, such as herons and bears and wolves and storms and cyclones and tornadoes and crocodiles and poisonous mushrooms.
Okay,
Blue.
I really need to get to bed now.
And saber-toothed tiger.
What happened to the other duckling? Was she squished too?
Oh, no. Don't worry, Gwen. The ducklings were both safe. They just went on their way right back to the pond.
But another predator came in
And wish them good day. The end. That's it.
I think Dad's got some issues. I think Dad's got some issues going on there. He thinks he's got a bunch of valuable fears, which they're really not helping at all. In fact, he's probably your classic helicopter parent, would be known as today. You know, like, got to stay safe, got to stay in the pond, don't get out there. Whatever you do, don't do this and don't do that. But here's the deal. When it comes to families and when it comes to life, these kids, they're migrating. They're leaving the pond. You're going to do that. I heard of one parent down here say, woo. And their kids are only 5. No. So we got to prepare. How do you leave? How do you transition? How do you migrate? What is the art of migration? And what better way than looking at the family of ducks? It's really good because they're migrating all the time. Now, the reason this is so important is that because everything is migrating. Even the world that we live on is continually evolving, it's continually moving, it's continually changing. Scientists have discovered, wow, this is really weird. There seems to be a start date to the universe and an end, and everybody in the middle knows things are breaking down, but that's okay. God wrote about that. He tells us all about that. That's fine. When Jesus returns, he says, I'm going to evolve this thing on, and we're going to migrate to something new. So we're going to get, like the ducks, we're going to have to learn how to migrate because change is everywhere. I learned about this very young. I was a very sickly kid when I grew up, and I had a twisted bowel at 6 months and nearly died, and they said to my mum, he'll probably have it again within 2 years. So that instilled in her a deep level of fear. So she was terribly fearful that she would lose me again, and understandably. I mean, you can understand her reason. Anyway, she had this deep-seated fear, but it gave me a great opportunity to exploit an area. And so I exploited this area intentionally or unintentionally, and it was awesome. My mum would do everything for me, absolutely everything, to my dad's disgust. And he would get really angry because he knew that this wasn't really serving me that well. But she was awesome. She would do everything. Oh, Mum, I can't put my shoes on. Can you put my shoes on? Yeah. You know, like, I can't make my bed. I can't do this. I couldn't even make a phone call. She would do everything. And it was absolutely glorious until I got married. And my wife quickly let me know she was not going to continue these wonderful practices that my mother had put in place. And I could not understand it. So I looked through all of the scriptures, particularly around Moses, there's some good ones in there, and tried to sort of like inspire her to get back in place and serve the way that my mother would serve. And she quickly pointed me to a few of Jesus' scriptures. And let's just say it was a very tense time. It was very frustrating. I was having to learn, but here's the deal. I was 26 at that point in time. It was horrible. It was the most horrible time because I had stayed in the pond of childhood way too long, and I'd exploited an area with my mum, and I thought, this is great, but it turned out to be an absolute nightmare later in life. And so I had to learn to migrate very fast. Very fast I had to learn how to migrate out of childhood pond into becoming an adult. Now, I still to this day don't know why Anne wouldn't do it. I don't know why she couldn't just, I don't understand why she couldn't just follow on the practices of my mother. They were glorious, they were amazing, and then I would still be doing nothing. Sitting somewhere waiting for someone to do something for me. But fortunately for me, even in the midst of all this going on, Anne realised what a wonderful catch I am. And so she decided to hang around. So Daddy Duck is having to figure out, he's got this pond he's in, it's glorious, but things are not kind of going so well, and there's a bit of tension going on. And then something happens, and another flock of ducks come down and land in the pond. So let's have a look at what happens when they turn up. The family wants some adventure. They want to get out beyond the pond. They want to see the world. They want to experience things. But Dad is so afraid that his fears are controlling everything. His security and his comfort is in that pond, in the familiar surroundings. Listen, ponds are comfort zones. That's what they are. And you cannot stay in them too long, otherwise things start to deteriorate. I stayed in the childhood pond way too long, and it was really difficult to migrate when it happened. It was very tense. But these ponds, these comfort zones that you got them in every area of your life. You can have a comfort zone that's in your career. Some of you are sitting in jobs that you should have left years ago, but out of fear, out of comfort, out of not wanting to rock the boat or something like that, you've just stayed put. And you're saying, I'm just doing the right thing, but you come home and you're miserable every night and you let everybody know you're miserable. See, that's a sign. The pond is too small. You've got to migrate out of it. Some of us have relationships that we really should migrate away from. They're not helpful relationships in helping us grow and become better in Christ or in life, better as a friend or things like that. They're relationships that keep actually derailing you. But I get this. I get this with Australians because Australians don't necessarily make friends fast. And we kind of go, well, I don't make friends all that easily, so, better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. I'm going to go with no, better no devil at all. Just get away. You've got to migrate out of some of these things if you're going to grow and you're going to mature. Even following Christ, like if you're thinking about starting a relationship with Jesus or you're on the journey now, you'll know that there are seasons. You'll start and it'll be okay for a while, but then there's this uncomfortableness. You sense that you need to move on, and that's God calling you. You need to move on. You need to migrate to something new, something different. That's why for our church, we're a Spirit-led church. It's the key thing. God is continually migrating us. He has a big vision for us here called one church, multiple expressions, multiple locations. That's going to require a lot more people playing on the field. We need everyone playing. We need everybody all in. Now, if you've been here for any length of time, that you'd know that the way I quoted that vision is different to what the vision statement was originally. The original vision statement for us is one church, multiple locations, multiple expressions. And I thought, okay, I get it. This is this location. The next one will be a different expression. But over the holiday period, the Lord just said, no, you're missing it. I want you to do one church with multiple expressions in one location first. And that will be the catalyst by which I spin off into multiple locations. And I'm going, that feels a little uncomfortable. Yes, you have to migrate. You have to go with where I'm telling you to go. The thing about comfort is that comfort kills. It absolutely kills everything. You watch that clip, the amount of stress that's going on in that family, with everything, all the dynamics going on, just simply because they feel like they can't breathe. They want to get out. They want to move. Here's three things that you can just use quickly to analyze thinking about the ponds in your life if it's maybe too small. First thing is, you never get nervous. You are so in control with everything that's in that little pond and you've got everything under control, you're not nervous about anything. There's no anticipation, there's no nervousness because you're not breaking out, which leads to the next thing is, when was the last time, your last time at the first time? When's the last time you started something that caused you to be nervous again, to cause you to go like, I got to learn some skills, I got to develop some things? That's another sign. Oh, I'm not going to use my gifts, I'm not going to do that because I don't know what to do. Yeah, I could never be a barista. Well, you could. You won't be very good at the start, but you got to, I know, if I can't do it perfect at the start, I'm not doing it. Well, you didn't do anything perfect at the start. Anybody here, after you're just laying on the floor for suddenly, like a year or so, just going, aha, and up and out you went running. I'm ready to go. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. But it's nervous because, look, they're walking and they're going to fall into things and they're going to bang things and they hit their head and then your mum carrying down the road and they think, mum's been beating that poor child. No, they actually hit the thing. But see, you've got to start doing some new first-time things. When you first start your devotions, it's exciting because you're developing a relationship with God for yourself. When you first decide, I'm going to lead a village of people, I'm going to help people learn to love God with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength, and then love each other. It's nerve-wracking because it's something that's new. That's how you can tell if you're really trapped in a comfort zone. There's no nervousness, there's no first times, and here is the kicker one. It's all about maintaining and not advancing. Everything about it is about keeping what you've got, Don't let anyone take it. Don't let anyone rock the boat. Let's just keep everything exactly how it is. See, Dad doesn't want to. He doesn't want to migrate because he's very comfortable in the pond. He's in control. But he doesn't realize, or he is starting to realize, that the pond is actually killing his family. It's actually stifling everything for them, and it's actually stifling something in him. And he knows, he's starting to click, I'm going to have to be willing to migrate. I'm going to have to be willing of letting go what I've got here for the potential of something out there, but I don't know what it is when I start. There's a certain amount of risk that's there. So Daddy Duck has just figured out he's going to have to change. Let's see what happens when he decides to action now this course.
Rise and shine, Mallards. We're burning daylight up and at 'em. Let's go, go, go. Here's breakfast.
Come on. Dad, what are you doing?
Getting your sorry feathers out of bed. Come on, we gotta get ready.
Mac, ready for what?
Nothing. Just, for our big, super fun family migration.
What?
Ha! Bet you didn't see that coming.
Are you serious?
Yep, an adventure into the totally unknown. And I'm gonna love it.
Whoa. Is this real?
What do you mean, is this real?
We're really going.
Yes?
On a migration?
To Jamaica?
Yeah.
Together?
Yes.
Like everyone?
Yes.
Including you?
Yes, we are all going on a migration to Jamaica. And which language should I tell you?
Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome.
I knew there was some adventure left in you.
Wait!
Here we go. Let's do the final check. Tail feather torsion.
Check!
Wing deployment.
Check!
Heads in takeoff mode.
Check.
Let's fly. Okay, everyone, enough fooling around. V formation. Woohoo! Yeah! Look at me!
Yeah, this is awesome!
Well, better get used to it. That's weird. My inner compass may be a little rusty, but I'm sure we're heading south.
Yeah, we are, but why are we the only birds heading this way?
Because Dad has refused to migrate, he doesn't actually know what's going on. He still thinks he's on the right track, but then sometimes you got to divert because there's storms. But he's kind of inexperienced in the migration process. So he's out there and he's just winging it. He's just winging it and just seeing how he goes. And he's trying to be brave for the family. And if you watch on through the film, there's all these twists and there's all these turns and there's all this stuff going on. But something happens that's really interesting, and you start to see it in there. Suddenly love starts to enter back into the relationship. Suddenly laughter comes back, joy, thrill, excitement. And then in the midst of one of the disasters, I won't show you this clip, they bump into this red bird that's trapped in a cage. And because he's stuck in this cage and he can't get out and do anything, but it turns out he's Jamaican. And so they said, if we get you out of this cage, could you show us how to get back to Jamaica? And migrate, he goes, oh, you're going to take you back to Jamaica, man, no problem. And so they get him out and take him on the journey. Why am I telling you that? I have no idea. No. I'm telling you that because when you go to migrate, if you haven't done it, not used to it, sometimes you go the wrong way while trying to go the right way. but it doesn't matter. Just go. Because God has a way of adjusting things and circumstances to bring the Jamaican one back into the mix. Someone that can help point you in the right direction. And Paul talked about this when he talked to the church in Rome, as they were all being sent by Jesus, just go make disciples everywhere, just get out and go and do whatever. And they're probably feeling the same way, but we got our little pond here. No, you got to migrate, you got to go out. He said these words, he said, all things work together for good. All things work together for good. But there's a caveat. All things. So what, even if I fly the wrong direction, that can still work out for good? Yep. All things, the ups, the downs, the twists and turns, can actually work out for good. Hang on, here's the caveat. For those that love God. There is a caveat to it. If you go migrate out there without God in the mix, you're only going to deal with the system of the brokenness of this world, and it just goes from disaster to disaster. But when you're attempting to have a relationship with God and you include Him in the process, and you go out and you go the wrong direction, He has a way. He can send a storm here and adjust it, and send you into a place that you don't know how to get in here, and then suddenly there's someone there, and then there's a sign, and then you're back on the journey. This is so important. This is so, so important because God is the author of migration. Migration matters to God. It really does. Because migration keeps us in a place of faith. It keeps us growing, it keeps us maturing, keeps us a little bit out there on the edge of what we know in the faith realm. Adam and Eve, right at the start, God builds this beautiful world, creates this world, puts them in this beautiful garden. They weren't designed to stay there forever. They were supposed to work with God. And together, paradise would actually keep migrating out and fill the earth. Now, fortunately, they listened to some poor advice and chose to go it alone and broke relationship with God. And then sin and death and darkness and all the horrible stuff that we see entered the world. Paradise was lost. But relationship was lost too. So then God migrated them out of the garden to say, well, you want to go it alone? You're on your own for now until I figure it out. But migration was right back in the creation. There's some characters that you would probably all know out of the scriptures going right back thousands of years. You got a guy called Abraham. Abraham, he's sitting in the middle of nowhere. And God visits him and says, Abraham, I need you to leave your family. Leave your friends, just take your immediate part of your family, but everything else, all the extended, you've got to leave your nation and you've got to go. Oh, this is great, Lord. Go where? I'll tell you on the way. So I have to go. Yes. But why do I have to go? Because I want to make you into a father of all nations. All nations. You have no idea how ridiculous this sounds to an old guy in his 80s in the middle of nowhere with no people and no children. And God says, you need to go. But what does Abraham do? He decides to trust God anyway. He just flaps his wings, let's get out of the pond. And off he goes. And there's probably no one sitting on the planet that doesn't heard of Abraham. Why? Because he migrated. He got out of the pond and he went. A bit further on, you run into a guy called Moses. Everybody knows about Moses. Let my people go. Moses grew up in Egypt because there was a decree that they were to kill all the young boys, so his mum put him in the water, in the reeds, and Pharaoh's daughter came down and basically adopted him, and he grew up in Egypt. He had the best of everything, and then God comes along and says, hey, I need you to migrate back to your people. He goes, I don't think so. They're slaves. They're building bricks. I don't want to go back there. He goes, no, I need you to migrate. I'll go back. I've got some things I need you to say to Pharaoh. He goes, oh, I don't speak very good. Can you send Aaron? He said, no, I don't need to send Aaron. All I need you to say is, Pharaoh, let my people go. That's all you need. Can you do that, Moses? Oh, I guess so. And then what's he do? He migrates out. A lot of discomfort, a lot of storms, a lot of things going on. But he migrates out. He risks. He gets out of the comfort zone. He goes because God asked him to do. And everybody knows about Moses. Let my people go. Jesus migrated. He migrated from the safety of the Godhead, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. takes a walk across the universe to rescue a rebel race that have disobeyed God, that walked against him, broke relationship. Now they're trapped in sin and death. And Jesus comes, takes a walk across the universe, migrates to us in order to do what we couldn't do, to heal us from our sins, to give us forgiveness, to take the punishment that we rightfully deserved, but then out of his death, burial, and resurrection, to actually offer a relationship with God back on the table again. That's a big migration thing. And then he migrates back. But not before he says to his team, okay, I need you to go. I need you to go everywhere and make disciples. Go tell everybody that a relationship with your Heavenly Father is back on the table again. I need you to migrate. And so they migrated. Everybody knows Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Unless you grew up in the 60s. And then you know John, Paul, George, and Ringo. See, migration is essential. It is absolutely essential. And comfort kills purpose, and it stops all migration. But for those that will take the leap, start flapping, get out of the pond, do something different, the dreams of life and love await the obedient. They wait the obedient. If you're willing to step out. And as you watch this, the dynamic is unbelievable. The dynamic of change that goes on in this family from where it starts to where it ends after the migration is spectacular to watch. I'm going to play you one more clip, but before I do, let's do a little bit of homework. You guys online as well. What is your pond? What is the one or two ponds, the two comfort zones right now in your life that you know you should be migrating out of? You know that it's actually killing you and it's killing everyone around you. What are those one or two ponds that you need to address? And how you can tell is you've got to ask the question, what's it killing? By staying where you are in those ponds, what are the things that's going? What dreams do you have in you that you no longer talk about? It was just a childhood dream. It's never going to happen. That's not good. What if that is God's dream for you? What if it's down deep? What if it's connected to your original programming and it's just buried under this other stuff? What if it's there? What calls to change have you already had to get out of that comfort zone, but you haven't done it? You haven't done it. Where have you stopped using your gifts and your talents? I'm telling you, over the next season, God is going to be sharing many areas through us because he wants us to deploy every aspect of this building that we can to add value to families and to nudge them towards Christ in whatever way, shape, to become one church of multiple expressions that will eventually become multiple locations. That's going to require a lot more people. And it's going to require a lot more people to be able to migrate, to get out and migrate out of their comfort zones. But you've got to make that move. I can't do it for you. You've got to decide. You've got to get yourself, wings up, head down. Whatever you got to do, let's just get out of this pond. Let's just fly out of it. Now, I know some of you are saying, but it's scary. It's getting out. Yeah, well, Paul had to deal with this issue too with Timothy. So he wrote to Timothy. And this is what he said to him. He said, Timothy, for God has not given you a spirit of fear. Timothy, you haven't been given that. So if you're fearful, that is not coming from God. That is coming because you are still operating out of the brokenness of the system of this world. He says, no fear. He hasn't given you fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. Friends, it's time to risk. It's time to step out. It's time to get out of the pond that is killing the adventure in you, that is killing and stifling the life. I'm convinced that the amount of people that struggle with anxiety today and the amount of children that are struggling, it's because we don't give them enough adventure anymore. They are not used to it. They're terrified to fly out of the pond and do something different. But God says, no, I haven't given you fear. Get them out there. Get them flying. Let them experience the adventure. And you see what happens. They come to life. They can do far more than you think they can do. I remember one guy saying to me, kids can do the most incredible things if you give them incredible things to do. He said, if you don't give them incredible things to do, no telling what they'll do. They'll destroy everything. Because they're thriving, they're looking for, they want adventure. They want excitement. They want life. Is it dangerous? Yeah. I have to deal with this all the time because I grew up with a mum that had terrible fears. So I watch what the kids do now, and everything within me is like calculating everything that could go wrong here. And I could spell it out and rah, 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 rah. And then Anita has to adjust me and say, you're thinking like your mum. Hate that. Does that happen to anybody else? Do any of you wives say to your husbands, you're just like your mother? My mum's a good lady. See, you've got to migrate. That is actually a pond. There is a pond around today of, particularly in marriages, men that never migrated from their mums. And it's very frustrating, and it's killing their family relationship. Because instead of the husband and wife being an entity on their own, there's always this tie. And it's not that mums are bad, it's just that there is a process where you grow up out of childhood and you go into adulthood, and that's just how it is. That's the way it goes. Eventually, everybody migrates out and heads out. And you've got to be there, you've got to be for the adventure. So let's have a look at one more clip. Just have a look at what happens here, right here now, when they actually reach their new pond, and just see the difference that's taking place. Everything changes when you go on the adventure. When you step out. I don't know if you noticed, but from the start, he's terrified. He will not let the kids even go visit someone else in the current pond. Now he's saying to the kids, come on, lead the way. And the joy and the life and the love and everything is returning. But you know what? As great as that is, eventually that pond's going to be too small. And there will be another migration that needs to take place. I would suggest, I reckon every parent should go watch this film. Should go watch it. And you'll learn so much about what happens in the context of families. They need adventure. They need excitement. They need thrill. They need to push the boundaries. But they need to see you doing it too. Do you notice Dad there? He's got back in touch with his inner child. He's ready for adventure as well. He's just freaking out. But the love that comes back and everything. Someone asked the team to come back and we're going to sing one song together. But just imagine if we all started to live like that. If you started to migrate out of the ponds, the comfort zones that have got you bound there, and actually launch into something that you don't know exactly what it is, but you just know you've got to go. So then you just got to say, okay, family, come on. Wings out, head forward, let's go. Let's get out of here. Let's see what's happening. We're actually processing some of this as a family together because of the whole thing with devices, everybody tends to go do their own kind of things. And we're trying to figure out, do we need to do some initiatives or start some initiative as a family together that we work on together? So we're exploring all sorts of things, like even to the point of even though they're young, helping them to start a little online business or something like that, because they need to feel the thrill of actually stepping out and serving someone else and going. So I don't know what it's going to look like, but it'll be fun. It'll be an adventure. But you have to decide what are the areas that you've got to migrate out of. But the longer you stay trapped in it, even though you try and hold that thing together, like Daddy Duck could have tried to keep it all together, but in the end, he would have lost everything. But in the end, he realized, you know what, I got to get out of here. I've got to lead the way on this. And for us guys, we're supposed to be the spiritual heads of our home. Sometimes that gets defaulted to mum. Mum can be the emotional head of the home. But dads, if we're around, now I know some of you are single mums and you've got to wear both hats, and you are exemplary, you do great. But those where there's a dad around, it's our responsibility to set the spiritual tone and temperature, to help people in the context of our family to love God with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love each other. Got to migrate. Got to migrate. Now, for some of you, maybe you're sitting here, Your first migration may be the migration to say, I've got to stop trying to save myself. I'm operating out of this broken system. I can't save myself. And then you choose to surrender your life to Jesus and allow Him to get you back to your original programming that's in you and conform you to the image of Christ. That might be your first pond that you're going to do. For others of us that have been walking with Jesus a bit longer, we just got comfortable and it's easy, we can do it. We've got to prompt ourselves to say, you know what? How do I help my family? And just in case you've been hearing this and going, and you've reached this conclusion, well, you know, I think my pond's just too small. I got to get rid of my family and get out. No, this is not what this message is about. If your family's not doing so good, that means you're not leading well. So this is not your, get out and find a new family. This is your time to let God inspire you to how to help your family find love and life and adventure again. How to teach them to soar. Do some things that surprise them. Let's do something together. And I'm telling you, when you do that, you watch what happens in the dynamic of the love relationship with your spouse, and you watch what happens within the kids, how respect and that comes back. Because they're desperate for life and they know the only way is we got to keep migrating out beyond where we are. And when you follow Jesus, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if you go the wrong way. God has a way of getting you back to the right way. You just gotta fly. The old Pentecostal pastors used to say, you can't steer a bicycle if you don't pedal the thing. You gotta get some momentum. God can't steer something that's standing still. So you have to migrate out of those things for the sake of your family and the sake of your own heart and your own relationship with God. Let's pray together. Father, I just thank you for this film. It's a great film. There's so much to learn from it, and we are so prone as human beings to want to settle into comfort. We just want to sit here. We want to have our little pond, and as long as we keep keeping it safe and that, but it kills the adventure, and it kills the life, and it kills the love. And we don't have any dreams out there to migrate towards because the pond is containing us. So, Father, I pray for each of us that you might lead us to the place where we say, you know what, enough's enough, it's time to fly. It's time to take a flight. Lord, we need to learn the art of migration, and we know that you'll help us, but it all starts with just simply being in Him to say yes again to Jesus. Say yes to whatever He's got for us, so that we might experience life and life to the full, and so might our family. So Lord, as we sing, would you just encourage our hearts and give us the courage to step out as we say yes again.